Welcome into this second episode of Meet Your Aldermen. My name is Jon Zaghloul, our communications manager. Great to have you here as we continue this series. This month, we're talking with the newest member of the Aurora City Council as we take an inside look at his background, experience, and goals with the City of Aurora. He's a higher education professional, member of the Building, Zoning, and Economic Development Committee and Rules Administration and Procedures Committee, and one of two Aldermen At-Large representing the entire city. Let's welcome Alderman Will White to Meet Your Aldermen. Alderman White, great to have you here.
It's great being here, John. I really appreciate you extending the time and opportunity for us to have a conversation.
I appreciate you being here. We just discussed it there a moment ago. What's it mean to you to be the newest alderperson on the Aurora City Council?
You know, I think about the phrase, sometimes when you're put in a position, it's like drinking from a fire hose. Everything just comes at you at once. This is an experience that I've never had before. So it's an excellent opportunity to take my background and skills and see how I can help move Aurora forward. So it means a lot. It's very humbling. I didn't campaign, I was appointed. So out of 135 individuals, I was chosen. Extremely humbling again. And I don't take this position lightly.
That's a great point, too. I mean, 135 people, and you were the one chosen. Talk to me about the process that went into you applying and then eventually being appointed to the role.
Good question, John. So I wish I could say that this was a plan that I had in place, orchestrated for months, but it wasn't. I literally was in my office at the College of Lake County, and I saw an e-newsletter from Aurora, which I get. I opened it up, and it said that they're looking for a new Alderman at-large. Click here to apply. So I opened up the application, saw the criteria, saw the questions, and thought, I could answer these. And it's really timely in that during that time, I was really searching for a way to get re-involved and re-engaged in the community with service. So when we first moved here 5 years ago, we were really engaged, and there was, because of some family issues, I had to pull back. So that was a perfect time to get engaged, and I thought, this is a good moment. So I completed the application, and a week later, Chief of Staff Shannon Cameron called me and said the mayor wants to meet with me. So I thought, surely I'm like one of only 3 people that applied. It can't be that many individuals for them choosing me. I didn't know anybody in City Council, never met the mayor, never knew anyone, didn't know anyone on staff. So it was a meeting, and I thought, most likely I won't receive the role because they probably have individuals they have in mind. So I thought this is a perfect time to just spend an hour having a conversation with the mayor. So that's how I saw it. And then that was on a week later. Then I had the interview. Then the next day, the mayor called me and said that I made it to the final round and I will be meeting with the other aldermen. That's when I realized, this really could happen. So I really took it seriously. And I did research on the Alderpeople, looked at the positions, looked at where the city was previously, where the city's going. And I realized in the interview, I only have 15 minutes with everyone. So I thought, what could possibly be learned in 15 minutes in that final interview? And I thought, they just want to see if you're relatable. Is that someone you can work with? So I thought, I'll just be myself. I have nothing to lose. 2 weeks ago, it wasn't even a point of conversation in my mind. So I just went there, met with everyone for my 15 minutes, and there was a deliberation, and I was chosen. That whole process took about 2 weeks.
I have to imagine you were a little bit nervous that night when you came to meet the entire city council and you had 15 minutes to essentially explain yourself. What happened in that 15-minute meeting?
So it's interesting. So a few individuals did ask questions, some of the more senior aldermen. I believe Alderman Bug asked a question, Alderwoman Garza asked a question, and I believe Alderwoman Patty Smith asked a question. The questions I don't quite recall. However, what works to my benefit is that I've pretty much spent the last 20 plus years helping individuals prepare for employment, prepare for jobs, prepare to go to graduate school, completing applications, doing interviews. So interviewing is my sweet spot. So I thought, worst case scenario, I can have a really, really solid interview. Whether I'm the person chosen, I left that up to the other Alderpeople and the mayor. So it was a very quick 15 minutes. I answered the questions. There were 3 questions. I answered them, and that was basically it.
You made history that night, obviously, becoming the next Alderman at Large here in the City of Aurora. Now you've been, although you're the newest member of the council, you've been here for almost 8 months, as we talked about just before we started. What has it been like then in these past 8 months to serve on the council, be a part of these meetings, and help enact policy here in the City of Aurora?
It's been great. I was looking for a way where I can take my experience. I first got into workforce development in 2001. And during September 11th, all that was, the economy was shifting. I was living in New Orleans at the time. That's when I first got into community engagement, workforce development, and have continued in that trajectory. So I really wanted to find a way to take my skill sets and see how I can volunteer and serve in the community. So this is a great opportunity. It's more rewarding than what I expected. I enjoy talking with people. I enjoy hearing individuals' opinions. Whether I agree or disagree, I represent the entire city of Aurora. So right now, for the past 8 months, I've just been trying to get in front of as many people as possible to hear what's important to my constituents. That's really been my goal. I have initiatives. A senior alderman in Chicago spoke to me when I first started and said, you can have your own platform and initiatives, but they may not align with what the people that you're serving is. So take some time to figure out what the people want. And then from there, you can move forward with the correct agenda.
How difficult has it been for you to represent the entire city versus some of the ward aldermen only have a specific spot in the city?
It is a bit overwhelming. As I drive through the city, I think about, wow, I represent these individuals. I go to another part of the city, I represent these individuals. It is very overwhelming. However, it aligns with my personality. I'm a big picture thinker. So the initiatives that I want to move forward while I'm in this role tend to be very large scale, impacting all of Aurora, not so much ward specific. So the fact that I'm an Alderman at Large representing Aurora aligns with my skill sets and personality.
Alderman Will White here with us on Meet Your Alderman, the second episode. And as we get into initiatives, I know a big one that just came out was the solar and EV rebate program through you. Talk to us more about that and how that's going to affect Aurora residents.
John, you're really good. I didn't even have to bring it up. You brought it up. Nice. So it's an initiative that just started in January. I've taken Mayor Lash's initiative when he was an alderperson and carried it forward, made some modifications. So really the whole plan is to make moving to renewable energy, solar panels, EV charging stations, adding to homes or business as affordable as possible. The upfront costs can be cost prohibitive. So my program will provide $1,000 in rebate for anyone that adds solar panels to their home or business, and $500 rebate for anyone that adds EV charging station. Now that extends back to January of 2025. So for the next 2 years, from January 2025 to December 31st of 2026, if anyone has already completed that installation or plans to complete that installation, it's recommended that you complete the application. It's on a first come, first served basis. And it's just a way really to take some resources that I have and give them directly to the community.
Have you seen a lot of interest? Again, it's only been out for a couple of weeks, but I would assume people are already calling and asking more about it.
Yeah, and that's the one reason why I decided to carry it forward. When I moved into this role, there were individuals that had an interest, but then once Mayor Lash became mayor, the initiative went away because it was under him. And I had individuals calling and asking about it. So I thought this is a really good way just to continue something that is already has community support and interest. And in fact, last week, myself and Alderman Keith Larson were at a community meeting last week, and I brought up the EV charging station initiative. Alderman Larson brought up the CJA grant about just what we're doing in terms of climate jobs, and there were a lot of questions surrounding both. So I think my grant program really aligns with the city's initiatives, and I just wanted to provide a way for individuals to make that impact directly to the environment.
Are there any other initiatives that you plan to pursue as you continue in your role as Alderman at Large?
Yeah, so I do have three major initiatives that have kind of bubbled up to the surface. One is the EV charging station and solar rebate program. That's one. The second would be bringing education to life. I think about when I was in school, history, and I think about history, you're not always taught the full picture. So I'm thinking of ways like how can I bring education to life? One thing that I'm doing is this weekend, I am bringing in a Negro League player, Dennis Biddle. For those who aren't familiar with the Negro League, when baseball first started, segregation was in place. So blacks weren't allowed to play in baseball with whites. So Rube Foster, who's from Chicago, started the Negro League in 1925. The Chicago American Giants was the first team. Dennis Biddle played for the Chicago American Giants, and he currently lives in Milwaukee. He's 92 years old. So for the first Friday, Black History Month as well, bringing him to the Aurora Public Art Gallery and for a meet and greet with the city. It would sign memorabilia. He also has a Negro League traveling museum. So it's a way to bring history to life. I didn't learn about the Negro League when I was in school, but that's a part of American history. So that's just one example. Something else that's really another initiative that's really come up to the surface is supporting our homeless population as well. What would it look like if we had a solution to providing housing for everyone? What would that look like? How would that impact the city? How would that impact downtown? How would it impact our residents? How would that impact our economy? These are big picture, big thinking initiatives that I'm kind of sorting through. So those three would be my solar, education, and supporting the homeless.
And as we discussed a moment ago, you come from a big picture background. I'm curious how your professional life has aligned or helped inform you as it pertains to your time now as an alderman.
Yeah, so my whole experience has been in workforce development. I did work in industry for a little while as well. However, I've really found my sweet spot is supporting the community through workforce development. So I currently work at the College of Lake County. It's a 67-mile one-way drive, so 3 to 4 hours round trip. And coincidentally, I do the exact same thing in the College of Lake County. It's workforce development, connecting employers with students, working with nonprofits, and it's really benefiting the community. So I look at when a student gets an internship or a student gets hired, that directly impacts the community because they stay there, they work there, they get employed, they raise a family, buy a house. So I really love that aspect. So taking that concept and bringing that to Aurora, how can I make that ground floor one-on-one impact in Aurora? So the ideas and initiatives that are taking place in Lake County, bringing here and the ideas and initiatives in Aurora to Lake County, for me, it's community development, wherever it is, wherever I'm at. If I'm in Lake County, if I'm in Aurora, if I happen to be in Chicago, wherever I land in terms of work or service, I just want to ensure that wherever I'm at, I am developing the community.
What drew you to come to Aurora in the first place?
Well, it wouldn't be a surprise that the things that drew me to Aurora is what makes Aurora unique and great. The diversity of Aurora. You look at the surrounding communities, Aurora is very diverse compared to the other communities. Another is cost. I lived in Chicago. I moved in the area in 2010. And when it was time to purchase a forever home, we looked at where's the best place. And we looked at Aurora. I live in the 6th Ward. I'm 2 blocks from Wilder Park, 4 blocks from downtown. Fox River goes directly through downtown. And I thought about how much would this home cost if I lived blocks from downtown in Chicago, walking distance from the Chicago River? It's unaffordable. So looking at Aurora, it's a suburb with a city feel, very diverse, and we see where the city's going. We love the music scene, art scene, food scene, and Aurora really made the most sense out of all the other communities we were considering.
Is there a specific favorite part that you have about living in Aurora?
Favorite part? We haven't had to take advantage of it yet, but I love the fact that the river goes directly through the city. You can kayak. We love being in nature, love the forest preserves. So at some point, we'll be kayaking down the river. Haven't gotten there yet, but we will. So that's a major draw. Another major draw is the live music. I love the venue. Would serve at the venue. The park that's opening, Rivers Edge Park, with the live music there, the Blues Fest that takes place there. So really it's the nature, the live music, and I'm a foodie. I realize I'm a foodie. Every time I talk about a place I've been, I always talk about the food. So the diversity in food options and dining options in Aurora, not just downtown, but outside of downtown, is amazing. We love Park to Shop. That's one of our favorite places. And going to those food stands there, the Middle Eastern restaurants, the Indian restaurants, the Hispanic restaurants. So yeah, I could go on and on about the food scene.
I'm right there with you. There's such a diverse suite of culinary options here in Aurora, and that makes it delicious to be a foodie to live here.
Yeah.
You talked about it a minute ago. There's so much that's still to come in Aurora. How bright do you see the city's future being?
Well, I think the future in Aurora is really bright. But at the same time, I'm biased. I live here. So if I don't think anyone living here would say otherwise. But I really like the direction that we're headed in terms of carving out a niche. We say we're the second largest city in Illinois outside of Chicago. What does that really mean? We're not trying to be a miniature Chicago. We're not trying to be another Naperville. We have our own specific footprint, and it's how do we really carve out a niche for ourselves. So I really like the green initiative that's taking place and how we're moving forward with that being the first city in the state that I believe in the Midwest that has with the green home community. I really like that. I volunteered with that myself, and Alderman Larson with Mayor Lash volunteered with that. That was really a really great initiative, which is why I chose to do the solar and rebate program. So I really like where that's going. I really like tying that to the Climate and Equitable Jobs Act, CEJA, and bringing in employers to hire, and we train our residents to work in that field as well. So bringing in high-paying jobs, and then from there also focusing on bringing in the restaurants and the places to spend your money. So you don't want to bring in these places and then we don't have the income to really support it. So it's kind of tackled from both ends. So that's what I'm really excited about. I'm really looking forward to see 4, 5, 6 years from now where we are as a city. We were already rated as one of the best cities to live in the nation. So where else can we, let's see how high we can go.
It's a great point. And as you mentioned correctly about like the CEJA Workforce Development Hub, I'm sure for you that's especially exciting from a workforce development perspective. You are literally living out your professional life here in Aurora and now being able to be a part of that as an alderperson. That must be pretty cool for you.
It's a dream come true. I was at the opening for the facility. I've met the individuals of 548 Foundation, met the individuals at Goodwill. I just want to be of service. If that means volunteering my time to support in terms of career readiness, resume, interviewing, if it means speaking to businesses and seeing how we can make that connection between the individual that's got that degree or certificate in that green energy space and getting them ready and pairing them with an employer that's looking to hire. Anything I can do to move that initiative along, I'm for.
Alderman Will White, still here with us on Meet Your Aldermen, the new monthly program that profiles each of our 12 alderpeople here in the city of Aurora. Alderman, if I'm not mistaken, you're also a doctoral candidate too. So how do you balance doing that, working full time, and being an alderperson?
John, it's rough. So I just turned in my first 3 chapters of my doctorate last week. I've had to push back my plans. My plan was to graduate this past December. However, that was before I even knew or received this role. So I'll probably graduate, hopefully, over the summer. But working full time with a 3-hour round trip commute with the family, plus a doctorate, and being an older person. And I've said jokingly that this role is a full-time job with part-time pay. That's how it is. So you can't just show up to the meetings. There's 4 meetings a month. You can't just show up and figure out what to do. There's a level of planning and preparation. Some of this legislation has 20, 30, 40 pages, and it may be information that you may not be familiar with. I've never really seen floor plans or housing development plans until I got into this role. Fortunately, I'm very familiar with budgeting, so that was helpful, but 90% of what we cover is I don't have a previous background, so I'm learning. So it takes hours and hours of preparation so that you can ask the right questions, because I realize that our decisions, whether we vote for something or against something, really impacts the city, not only now, but in the future.
Such a great point, and I think a lot of residents would like to know, how do you as an alderperson study and prepare for all the meetings and the votes on the legislation that you have to give?
So I'm learning from the other alder people to, one, rely on the support of the alderman's office. They are a great resource, and they've been here. They've been here before, so they know the legislation that comes up. Even if it's new legislation, the way you research is how you do previous. So I'm leaning in on the alderman's office, and then also just for me, learning, just reading the information I have and then researching further. Fortunate, I've been in school most of my life, so I know how to research. So that's been very helpful. But then from there, it's being the part that's new for me is you're not going to have all the information. You have to be comfortable with making a decision with the information you have. So that's been the biggest challenge, because I'm a researcher. I want to look at it from every angle, assess it, think about it, and make a decision. Well, you always don't have that kind of time. You get legislation, you get information a week before, sometimes a few days before, sometimes a day before, and you have to just figure it out and ask the right questions, rely on your other alder people to ask questions as well, because I realize those that are in office longer than me, they ask very insightful questions and they know how to get to the root answer. So from there, I just figure it out and then make the best decision I think is that I can.
You had said that you've been in school almost for a long time, almost lifelong. So you think about being a lifelong learner. Mm-hmm. How does that apply to this role, do you think?
I'm really glad you brought that up, John, because I always want to be in a position of learning new things. I'm one that gets bored easily. So the role I have at College of Lake County at a community college, I'm in a space of always learning and building into individuals. This role, I'm always learning something new. It's great. It really fits with who I am. I love learning things that I had never thought of before. So just general information about how homes are built, how communities are developed, how business communities are formed as well, how you can make decisions now that can impact the residents that live right next door to you, even how to best fund projects, how to fix streets, how to fix roads, how to fix water systems. I'm always learning something new in this role, so I love it.
Is there one specific thing that you could point to that's been the biggest lesson you've learned so far as an alderman?
Interesting. So last week I was at a community group, and I asked somebody, what's one thing I should prepare for in this meeting? And the question that person asked was, what is the one thing that, as an alderperson, I know that the community may not know? And I thought about it for a minute. And contrary to what I believed, majority of the information we have is available to the public. There aren't many instances where we get information that isn't public record. So I thought about that, and I really thought individuals may not recognize the power of their voice. Someone who sends an email, speaks at public comment, sends a text message, or I meet someone at a restaurant and they may have some comments. Well, I may not respond, I may not respond to that email. I get a lot of emails. However, I take it into consideration. When public comment, when someone takes the time after work or even takes off work to show up at one of our meetings and speaks for 3 minutes about a concern, we can't respond, but I take that into consideration. When I'm walking my dog down the street and someone stops me and has a conversation, I take those things into consideration. So the power of the collective voice, I think, is something that our community, individuals, may not recognize the significance of it.
And that feedback is super important from a resident perspective.
Yeah.
And to hear that from you, I hope, gets more people engaged in our city process regardless. There
Totally.
are some people who feel disenfranchised, but it's good to hear, and I'm sure all the other alder people would agree, that if somebody brings up a concern or a comment, it will be brought into consideration if they choose to make their voice heard.
Yes, 100%. We're here for the people. Everyone else was elected, I was appointed. So, but I'm here for the people. We're here for the people. We're the voice of the people. Us 12 were chosen to carry the city forward, to carry the vision of the city forward, to carry the will of the people forward. And I don't want to lose sight of that. Every day I think about that. And every day I try to think about how it was my first day in office, the excitement, the burden, the wanting to do right. I think about that every day. So I don't want to take where I'm at for granted, and I don't want to get caught up in things that may take me away from focusing on what's best for the community.
Alderman Will White still here with us on Meet Your Alderman. We have 2 more questions for you, Alderman, before we finish up here today. First of all, what's been the most rewarding part about being an alderman here in the city of Aurora?
The most rewarding part really is when I show up for an event or have some type of initiative, and afterwards I'm just in some random location. I'm in downtown Aurora a lot since I live nearby, and individuals just come up and say thank you. Myself, Alderman Larson, hosted a New Year's Eve party at the Warming Center in Hesed House, along with Mary Foltz with the Community Advocacy Awareness Network, CAN. And we just thought, hey, the New Year's Eve is celebratory. Let's have a celebration to bring in the new year, because next year will be different than this year. So we decided to just create it, along with Ann Fish, who oversaw the Warming Center. No fanfare. We held the event. Maybe 3 weeks later, I was at McCarty Mills, and somebody said, "I really appreciate you doing that." That was big, and that person volunteers at the Warming Center, volunteers their time with the homeless population. So knowing that those initiatives are resonating with the community is important. I don't do it for self-gratification. Personally, I'd rather sit at home with the book, hang out with my family, go to the gym, which I need to do more of. But doing these initiatives and hearing that it's what the community wants is rewarding.
And last question now for you, Alderman White, before we wrap up here today. Has there been a funny moment or an unexpected moment that you've encountered so far here as an alderman?
There is. And I'm glad I watched Alderman Larson's video, because I hadn't considered that. So I've been thinking about that. And it was maybe first few days in the role. I'm going through training. So the way training works is I have to meet with every head of staff for the City of Aurora. There's an agenda, it's packed. So first day I have the agenda, and the Chief of Staff for the Alderman, Rich Jacobs, sitting with me, said, okay, your first meeting is with Mocha. And I said out loud, you mean the coffee shop down the street in North Aurora? He said, no, the Mayor's Office of Community Affairs. I was like, oh, that just let me know I have a lot to learn. And whenever I lose focus, I think about that was my starting point. I've literally started from ground zero. So it's very humbling. And from there, I've learned a lot, but I think that probably was the most funniest and revealing moment.
Well, you've come a long way, and to your defense, when I first heard Mocha, I thought the same exact thing, because I am a customer of Mocha.
That's funny.
Nearby, so that's very funny. Alderman White, thank you so much for joining us here today on Meet Your Alderman. Amazing conversation, and certainly looking forward to seeing more of you as things move forward in your term, and I'm sure we'll be catching up again very soon as we get even near election time. That's already around the corner in 2027.
I know it is. You're right. I really appreciate your time, John. And I do look forward to seeing what this year holds.
Thank you so much to everybody for tuning in on the second episode of Meet Your Alderman next month. We're going to the wards and starting with Ward 1 Alderman Dan Barrero. Until next time, so long.